This PM Care Fund is worse than the electoral bond. Electoral bond was at least brought through a legal process for a stated purpose. This is the much worse form of corruption. Let's not play with words. If there is one corruption, this is the corruption. It's a fraud, and to be very, very blunt. And doing this fraud in the name of the Prime Minister of India is extremely tragic. Now, who are the trustees? Original trustees? Prime Minister of India, Finance Minister of India, Defence Minister of India, Home Minister of India. The highest executive authority, political executive. How can they betray the people like this? They have to be as transparent as possible. Because they have the faith of the people. The situation is such that they don't bother. They don't care two hoots. They don't respond to civil society. They don't respond because they have a complete control. They are being protected by the government. They are being protected by the higher courts. They are being protected by the media because they have the complete protection. They don't bother, and opposition is completely. I don't know what opposition is doing. Opposition is only interested in becoming their MPs and having some position and making some noises. They are not with the people. Which institution do we go? Which institution do we have trust in now? See, Constitution had provided for all organizations, but where do we go? Today, at least people like us at the advanced age, I'm 80 plus. I have lost trust in most of these institutions, including Supreme Court.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. What I thought today that every digital platform will be discussing Haryana, they will be discussing Kashmir, what will happen to the exit polls. But I thought, let's do something different on HW News. And that is the reason why I pulled out one tweet of Rajya Sabha MP, Trinamool Congress Rajya Sabha MP Saket Gokhale, who has actually accused the Modi government of a lack of transparency in the management of PM Cares Fund. If you remember, this is known as the Prime Minister's Citizens Assistance and Relief in Emergency Situations Fund. Now, Saket Gokhale has put out a post saying that no financial data on the fund has been disclosed since March 31st, 2022, sparking concerns about its administration and usage. Now, what Saket Gokhale has also said that PM Cares Fund was initially presented as a charitable trust which was set up to combat COVID-19, but it has not provided any updates on contributions or expenditures for the past 2 years. And then he has questioned a fund which is declared as a private trust by the government. How could it use a national symbol like the national emblem and a government domain address stating .gov? And then he says that since the audited financial reports look very, very fuzzy, so there is something hugely fishy. So I thought, let's talk about this PM Cares Fund and where is this heading to? Because as far as electoral bonds issue is concerned, we've seen that the Supreme Court has already declared it unconstitutional. Now another inquiry has been reopened by a metropolitan court. And of course, there was a quashing petition, and then the hearing is still on. And then the next hearing in that case is scheduled sometimes for 22nd of October. But after the electoral bonds, is it now time for the PM Cares Fund also to be fought out in the court, fought out in the people's court, and should it be completely dismissed from where it is right now? Joining me now is MG Devasahayam, who's a retired bureaucrat, and he has been a former returning officer. He's very vocal on transparency issues. He's spoken a lot about the malpractices in the Election Commission. I've done several programs on several platforms with him, and I thought that he's the best man to talk to about the PM Cares Fund. So thank you so much for joining on HW News. And my first question to you is this tweet which has been put out by Saket Gokhale, where he has very clearly said that there is something fishy because the financial data since March 31st, 2022, the details about the expenditure and the contributions is not visible anywhere. So does it go to show that there is something very, very fishy which is happening?
Thank you, Neelu. I saw the tweet and also looked at the whatever they were put out when previous to 2022. It is not an audited report. It is just a bulk numbers of how much money has been received, how much money has been spent. It is not an audited report at all. Period. Meaning thereby, it is not only for the last 2 years. From the very beginning till now, the funds have not been audited at all. I am making a very clear statement. And there's a reason why. See, people have not understood the background because this matter was not discussed. This was pushed under the carpet. There is a background behind this creation of this fund. Why they are keeping it so secretive? Not only is one is maybe to generate some fund to be at the disposal of the top bosses to spend at their will on any purposes. Purpose being talked about is election purposes, purchase of MLAs, purchase of MPs. There is many other way in which you are in power. You have to indulge in a lot of expenditures which cannot be accounted in the government accounts. Okay. So they needed a corpus of funds for some nefarious purposes. That is one part. The other part is much more nefarious, much more sort of insidious. Was that, so for that you have to look at the background of this fund. This fund was created on the 27th of March 2020. The trust was created. And just 3 days before, the entire country was put under a lockdown. I call it Corona curfew. 24th March 2020, the entire country was completely sort of immobilized. And I don't want to go into the details. People know about it. The horror stories are all very well known. Normally, when in a pandemic like this of immense human suffering, the NGOs, the civil society jumps in, because some of these NGOs are specialized in these health areas, taking care of the people, the healthcare people and other kind of things. So they would have come in and created an alternative presence. As it is, this government from the very beginning has been completely hostile to the civil society, completely hostile to the NGOs. So much so, the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval came out with the Doval Doctrine. Fourth sort of warfare, fourth front, what do you call it? Fourth warfare front. Civil society was considered as an enemy. So they thought that now Corona has come, civil society will revive itself. It will come into force, come into kind of relevance. So they wanted to finish up. One of the core way in which a fascist government runs is every power is centralized. Only government, and are there.
No, but Mr. Devasahayam, there were so many petitions as far as the electoral bond is concerned. There were so many.
I'm coming to that. Please, this is a very
Right.
important point for people to understand. Otherwise, some funds at the disposal of the Prime Minister is not a bad thing at all. That is understand. So the background needs to be understood. So when the emergency came, I'm talking about this Corona emergency. See, if the Prime Minister or the Union government wanted to support outside the government, they already had two funds. One is Prime Minister's Relief Fund, with well-established auditing kind of sort of methodologies. Then there was already National Disaster Relief Fund. Any support need to be given could have been brought in. They could have asked people to contribute to that fund. because they don't want this to be secret. They want to suck out whatever little surplus was there in the country, corporates, private corporate funds, the public sector undertakings, and even salaried of the people. So about 10,000, 12,000 crore rupees, that was, they completely want to dry out the civil society. So once that, since that being the purpose, they cannot say it outside, So they have to keep it secret. So they first call it private trust, then they call it public trust, then they call it government trust. Gave them all kind of incentives, all kind of exemptions. So this is the point I wanted to make. Other future discussion will based on this. Now the total secretiveness that you see is because they want to suck out whatever surplus fund was available, so that NGOs can't, and they have succeeded. Let me tell you, they have completely drained out the civil society. They have drained out the NGOs. They have drained out the kind of.
You made a very important point, and sorry to interrupt you. You are saying to finish off the civil society, to completely destroy the NGO structure of the country. This PM Cares Fund was brought in as a conspiracy by the Modi government.
Yes, as one of the major objectives. This was a devious objective behind the whole thing. Money is the second part. That's the point I'm trying to make. Yes.
No, but what is the way out now to fight out this menace? Electoral bonds, people went with petitions into the court, and that's how it was fought out. Whether it is half-baked or not, we still do not know, because still there is a lot of truth which is yet to come out on the electoral bonds. But yes, the court has done its bit by declaring it unconstitutional. But what about PM Cares Fund? How will we unearth the reality of this, if I may call it a black box sort of a thing, which exists there in the Modi government?
Actually, this PM Care Fund was done the electoral bond. Electoral bond was at least brought through a legal process for stated purposes. Already there were discussions and debate. It has been going on for the last several years. I have interacted with the chief election commissioners. There has been pro, there has been con. One of the major points regarding the election was funding of the elections, funding of the political parties, funding of the candidates, because of money power, because of a lot of uneven money power, corruption. Lot of corruption has been taking place in the purchase of votes. That has been a major factor for the last several years. So people have been trying to find out some solution. And this electoral bond came as a solution. It may be a wrong solution, wrongly designed, but it was brought in through a legal means, and it was challenged before the Supreme Court. It kept on getting delayed. After many years, Supreme Court took it up and clearly said, on one ground, they stuck it down, saying that there is no transparency. People have got every right. A citizen has got every right to know who was given how much money to which political party. Because that particular fundamental right has been violated, they stuck it down. So, as far as electoral bond is concerned, it has become past history. As far as the money,
but Mr. Saket Gokhale, the way he has pointed out that since we are not even getting to see who has contributed and how much has been the expenditure, what do you think the Modi government is really doing with the PM Cares Fund?
I really do not know. I went through the 2022 list. There is a big MOTA list. About 7-8 items are there. This much money was given to one hospital. This much money was given to one some ward. This much money was given to one by purchasing of ventilators. I mean, it's a fraud. To be very, very blunt. And doing this fraud in the name of the Prime Minister of India is extremely tragic. See, when we elect the government and make people run the government, now who are the trustees? Original trustees? Prime Minister of India, Finance Minister of India, Defense Minister of India, Home Minister of India. The highest executive authority, political executive. How can they betray the people like this? They have to be as transparent as possible, because they have the faith of the people. And then they brought in 3 trustees, one Justice K.T. Thomas, one Ratan Tata is a trustee, and they say, and they brought bad name to all these people. And then this trust is being administered not by any professional. In the Prime Minister's office in South Block, an additional secretary, joint secretary, deputy secretary, they are administrating it. Then directions were given for public sector companies, public sector undertakings to deposit all their CSR funds, corporate social responsibility funds. Actually, corporate social responsibility funds are meant for NGO activities, voluntary activities, because the voluntary sector has no money. They have to beg, borrow, and steal from people, raise funds, and help people. Charitable activities, environmental activities, hundreds of activities. I don't want to go in. So they ordered all the public sector companies deposit all your CSR, and they told the large public private sector companies
Oh, but Mr.
deposit your
Chittilaria,
CSR fund.
I'm just at pains, to really understand, the concept of no corruption of this government. The government who has been saying "na khaunga, na khane dunga," Prime Minister has said this many times. Imandari ka shasan. That is what he talks about. But the point is that he has things like electoral bond under his belt. Now, this PM Cares Fund, which has been there till 2020, now nobody's talking about it. And purposely, that was the reason why I raised this issue on a day when people are just discussing exit polls, people are just discussing Kashmir, Haryana, and which is natural for all the digital platforms to discuss. But this is equally an important issue. And I thought that, we should discuss this. But what is, I mean, is this a new form of quid pro quo, or is this an alternative form of quid pro quo? Electoral bonds was one, and this PM Cares Fund is another platform for quid pro quo for the Modi government.
Neelu, this is the much worse form of corruption. Let's not play with words. If there is one corruption, this is the corruption. You draw money from people, thousands of crores from all sources, and you don't tell them, and you suck the money out of the civil society. You don't allow people to perform charitable and environmental other voluntary activities, and then they don't allow them to bring any funds from the foreign countries. FCRA, all the leading NGOs have been they've shut down the FCR, whereas here they have given exemption from the FCRA. Here the exemption has been given the FCRA, and huge amount of money has come from the foreign sources also. Whereas leading international and national NGOs, I don't know to list the names, they've shut down the FCRA. They've completely drained them out. They've all closed down. I mean, NGOs working in the area of civil communal harmony, civil rights, human rights, and the peace and environment, and all these have been shut down. Charity. So they shut down all these have been shut down, and you give exemption to this, bring all kind of, so you drain out the whatever little money that comes from the outside the country. You drain out the CSR, whatever money that is within the country, so that with the plan you finished up. So now the question is, they have achieved that purpose. Now they do not know what to do with this money, and they also must be doing it with the devious purposes. You see, how do we know what they are doing with it? This, at least the three so-called civil society, I mean, people outside the government. Ratan Tata has a big reputation as a great industrialist. Is he asking a question? For former Supreme Court judge, Mr. K.T. Thomas, I know him. He used to be a distinguished judge of the Supreme Court. Is he asking a question? The question is, how we cannot, even if we ask questions, today the situation is such that they don't bother. They don't care two hoots. They don't respond to civil society. They don't respond because they have a complete control. They are being protected by the government. They are being protected by the higher courts. They are being protected by the media, because they have the complete protection. They don't bother to, and opposition is completely, I don't know what opposition is doing. Opposition is only interested in becoming their MPs and having some positions and making some noises. They are not with the people.
But my point is that how do you unearth this PM Cares Fund? How do you uncover the truth behind the PM Care Fund? It all looks very fishy. It looks fuzzy, and it all looks like a, like some kind of a black operation which has happened. But how do you really reveal the truth? How do the people want to? I mean, how would the people come to know the reality as to what has happened? Why did the government bring in a fund like this? And what is the Modi government currently is doing while sitting on these funds?
The good question is, I will draw a parallel to what happened in the election. We have been talking about it for quite some time. After the elections are over, two groups sat together and made a detailed analysis, and has come out with a clear report. I have said in your channel also that these are the doubts, these are the suspicions. There has been a spike of votes, 4.65 crore votes have been spiked. Now, 4.65 crores has led to possible, what do you call that, what do you call the stealing of the mandate in at least about 79 constituencies. We have drafted a very detailed analysis of this. The reasons given by us, because we don't have direct evidence. All these exercise, mathematical exercises, we have done it. Statistical exercises, circumstantial evidence. I said, please tell us. You what I say? I mean, they won't even look at what the representation that has been given to us. They are not bothered because media is not discussing it. Government is protecting them. Supreme Court is throwing it out. Now, under these circumstances, at least the Election Commission is a constitutional body. We should have expected some response from them. They are not responding. What do you expect of a private and secretive fund? The only in India's institutional
This
system.
be challenged. The points which Saket has.
Yeah, I am coming to that. In the India's institutional system, the only institution that can take it up, give a direction, and get things done is the Supreme Court of India. This matter already went before the Supreme Court of India. Supreme Court of India, Solicitor General gave some vague kind of statement. Supreme Court said, okay, no problem. Why should we don't want to go into it? Take it. Because this is for giving health care. You cannot use. See, the argument given was that when you already have a Prime Minister's Relief Fund and National Disaster Relief Fund, why do you need a third fund? So he is justified. These two funds have no health care. So health care is there, so you go ahead. Supreme Court is putting it off. So the question is, which institution do we go? Which institution do we have trust in now? See, Constitution had provided for all kind of things, but where do we go? Today, at least people like us at our advanced age, I am 80 plus. I have lost trust in most of these institutions, including Supreme Court. They don't go into the matters at all. They have no use for expert opinion. Whatever the government department says, believe it. Whatever the government department says, believe it. Experts outside the government, no value, zero value.
You don't have faith in courts. You do not have faith in the political class. You said that even the opposition is not picking up this issue and they are just not interested. So how does one move forward with this PM Cares Fund? Or would it just be there? And there's no point in tweeting here and there like what Saket Gokhale has tweeted today. Will the country ever come to the reality?
Why people like us are baffled. You know, I say we have a group called Citizens Constitutional Conduct Group. We take up issues. See, we have people, about 180 senior civil servants who have been part and parcel of administrations.
And I think you did write a letter to the Prime Minister on PM Cares Fund.
Let me complete this. I would like to make a very important statement on this. We have seen the upsides and downsides. We have been part of the political because we closely work with the politicians. IAS officers and IPS officers work very closely with the political field, state level, central level. We know the inside out of the government, and we analyze before writing anything. Detailed analysis takes place. Within the group itself, discussion up and down, using sometimes even harsh words. We discuss and debate. Finally, we raise up an issue. We have raised several issues about Almost all issues that you're talking about, which bothers the people of India, we have raised up with facts and figures. And this was one of them. This was raised in January 2021 with 100 of us signing it, clearly saying completely violative of the constitution, completely violative of the normal principles of governance, completely violative of the corporate act or CSR act. Please see that it is stopped immediately and return the money to her or use it for some. There is not even a reply. See, even organizations, the associations like us, groups like us, who have inside out knowledge, no response. You write to the election commission, no response. You write to the PM's office, no response. You write, they will not even reply. What kind of government are we talking about? And then you elect the parliament, send people to parliament. They will say they will voice the people. They accept giving some freebies, this guarantee, this guarantee, this guarantee. Are they speaking for the people? Is the opposition speaking for the people? Are they with the people? No. In fact, we asked the, let me tell you here also on your channel, because we have discussed the election matters in your channel. We went to the, told the opposition parties, see, parliament's credibility is in doubt. We do not know whether the parliament has the mandate of the people. Why don't the people raise it, the election system? There are a lot of doubts. Not EVM is only one. There are so many other major defects crept into the election commission, election system. Please discuss it. Let us come out with a comprehensive reform and implement them so that people's mandate is not stolen. Is opposition talking about it? They are talking about it. They are not interested. They are also encouraging defection. खुशी बन रहे हैं. BJP से Congress जा रहे हैं, Congress से BJP जा रहे हैं, BJP से Congress. Yesterday, I am from the Haryana cadre. I was very amused. Very amused. Yesterday, last day of campaigning, one chap who is in BJP now, he's the leader. BJP, I don't want to mention his name. He gives a speech in Sarsa, campaigning for BJP. Straight away drives down to Mahendra Gate, where Rahul Gandhi is speaking on a campaign for Congress, and joins the Congress. He was earlier in Congress, went to BJP, back to the Congress, and then he drives from Sirsa to Mahendra Gate and joins. And they are very happy. Very happy. They are announcing, yeah, they got a VIP. This is the kind of politics. Both the parties are running. See, let me tell you, the civil society is very, very anguished. Civil society is very, very anguished. And I don't know, it may flare up any time. But at least people like us are extremely anguished. And this kind of defection. BJP is not the one who is encouraging defection. Congress is also taking defective people. Yesterday, this is a tamasha. Yesterday, Haryana was a tamasha. So the point I am making is, you are asking repeatedly question, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? We call ourselves democracy. We have institutions of governance. We had faith in them. And gradually the faith is being lost. When you lose faith in institutions, streets come in. Let's be very careful about it. Only the faith in institutions can save democracy. Individuals cannot save democracy.
Right.
And one by one, our faith is going, and now faith in parliament is also gradually is on the decrease. So,
but Mr. Devasahayam, as far as this PM cares issues is concerned, what would you really say towards the end? Are we really heading towards a time where probably we will never be able to know what the reality of PM cares fund is, and probably this issue will get buried with the government whenever it goes, or will there be, will there be some investigation which is going to be ordered if the government changes? What do you expect really?
will there be any genuine investigation? That's what. We have lost faith in the opposition also. Even if they come to power, do you think they will have a genuine investigation? They're all mixed up. कहते हैं ये मिली भगत चल रहा है, जुगलबंदी बना रहा है. Only outside they pose as if they are opposing.
Right.
Are they really opposing?
Right.
Our parliament committees, are they doing their job? Are they really opposing? The question is, see, I am part of quite a few civil society organizations. And as I told you, I am past 80. But the question is, and then I have seen emergency. Everyone talks about emergency, emergency. I have seen emergency. I have been in. I was in a senior position for the last 50, 60 years. I know what has been happening. But with every passing day, our faith in the institutions are coming down. Now
Right.
there will be some point things will slap. See, your technology, your people are all engaged in your, WhatsApp, and other things. But then it may suddenly snap. So the question is coming back to the PM's relief fund. It is time Prime Minister comes clean. Tell the people that this is the purpose for which we created this fund. This much money that we have got. These are the people who have given us the money, and we have spent all this, and all these matters. This genuinely we were concerned about the sudden pandemic that came overtook us. We wanted all resources. Give it, come out, at least on their own volition. CAG is their own nominee.
Right. All right, sir.
Auditor General of India is their own nominee. And we still have some faith in CAG. At least ask the CAG, come, please audit and release the report. At least some kind of thing they should do. Otherwise, people still feel that this is one more scandal that's being hushed up. But the faith in the system is gone. That's the problem.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for joining, Mr. Devasahayam. It was wonderful to have you on the program. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Stay ahead with our cutting edge news app. Instantly access the latest shorts in just 1 minute and breaking news in just 50 words. Download now for a smarter, faster news experience.